everyone, happy Victober to you. I hope it's going very well. And if it's not, then that is okay. Victorian literature is here all year. So I wanted to do a ranking of Anthony Trollope's books in this. And I know it's always a little bold to do something like this. But these authors are no longer with us. So I feel comfortable doing that. Okay, so I'm going to go from least favorite to most favorite. And the least favorite has got to be Phineas Finn, the second in the Pallisers series. And it was such a struggle for me, and I did not enjoy myself for most of the book. I was very relieved it was the shortest out of the Pallisers books, because I really did not enjoy it. Now, I am a little bit nervous then because Phineas Redux is another book featuring Phineas. So I'm like, how am I going to feel about this? An entire longer chunky book with him. But one of my main goals for the year was to have, the Eustace Diamonds set to read for October. So now I have that out of the way. So I'm glad I have it out of the way. And maybe I'll just take a very long time to read the other Pallisers books. I don't know. We're just going to see. I'm nervous, if you can tell. Okay, the next one is The Way We Live Now. The Way We Live Now is just ranked so low down here because I was so new to reading Victorian literature when I read it that I felt very overwhelmed by the Victorian kind of writing when I was reading it, and just like I was just so daunted, and my Victorian reading muscles weren't strong yet. So that's why it's ranked lower. I definitely remember I didn't dislike the book, but it's like I just don't have that vivid of memories reading it. I think it was kind of like, okay, I'm done now. But I didn't dislike it. I think it was one that I appreciated. So that's why it's lower down. And then it has to be The Warden. I did enjoy The Warden, but just the other books are going to continue to outrank it. So The Warden, I obviously liked enough that I continued reading Anthony Trollope. And so it was, but it's so short, right? Delightful writing by Trollope, but very short and simple. Then the next one is The Claverings. This is one that I didn't enjoy all that much. And it's because the main character, I really didn't think that he deserved the woman that he wanted. And he really bothered me. So I really struggled with his character as I was reading it. Especially because I think we're supposed to be cheering him on. And I did not feel like cheering him on. So that was, I enjoyed aspects of the story, but I think I went in with such high expectations because there are many Trollope fans that really love The Claverings, and I did not fall into that camp. Then the next one was, and I'm sorry if it's loud down there, but this is what it is. I just have to film. The kids are around. It is what it is. The next one was Barchester Towers. I remember this one definitely feeling very challenging to read. I have memories of bringing it with me on a Thanksgiving trip and just being like, this book is such a struggle. And just not being sure kind of how to tackle it in the midst of all the other books that I was reading. But obviously I continued on with the Barsetshire series, so I enjoyed it well enough. And then, so continued on. So I definitely enjoyed it. And then one that was such a breath of fresh air when I read it, and that was Dr. Wortle's School. Dr. Wortle's School was one that I read right at the end of a reading slump. And this had been recommended by Katie from Books and Things. And I'm so glad she recommended it because it's a shorter standalone Trollope. And it is about this couple that they have a secret, and they work at a school that Dr. Wortle runs. And kind of the fallout that happens when their secret is revealed. And it's just written in a way that only Trollope can write it. And it was on the shorter end of things. So it was a great way to kind of dip my toes back into reading. And sometimes I'm surprised. Sometimes it takes a Victorian book to get me out of a reading slump, which you would think, no, you need something like light and fluffy. But sometimes it's actually a Victorian book that gives me, that kind of pumps me back to life. Then the next one that I thoroughly enjoyed, this is now we're getting to the ones like I really enjoy these, was Lady Anna by Anthony Trollope. And this and Can You Forgive Her have some darker plot elements that in a Trollope book is so refreshing. I generally like the very safe nature of Trollope's plots, but sometimes having a little variety, a little spice in those stories is so welcome. And Lady Anna, I was surprised at one of the plot elements, and it just really caught me off guard. So sometimes Trollope does have those surprises for you, and they're very refreshing when they come around. Then the next one is The Small House at Allington. And this is very closely tied with the last Chronicle of Barset. The Barsetshire series, the further they get on, the more and more I enjoy them. Even though those last two, they weren't my favorite, but I just really, really loved them. And it makes me smile so much to think about them. And I definitely want to reread the Barsetshire series at some point. But my problem is that I have so many other Trollope books that I want to get to. So at some point, it will happen. Maybe we together at some point can read the Barsetshire series. That would be a lovely, delicious treat. So yes. Then Dr. Thorne ranks above those. Dr. Thorne, I read The Warden, then I read Barchester Towers, and then I got to Dr. Thorne. And I just felt so swoony about the love story in it, and oh my goodness, I was just, my cup runneth over. I couldn't believe how just head over heels I fell in love with that story. And I think it's that it felt so like a wonderful Jane Austen novel, but more up close and personal with the characters. And it was just such a breath of fresh air as a reading experience. And then my favorite out of the Barsetshire series was Framley Parsonage. And it was a kind of simpler plot. You're following someone who has allegedly cashed a bad check, and he's convinced that he hasn't. That's the basic setup for it. But it's that you are living with these characters. You're seeing them. They feel so flesh and blood to you, and you're seeing the ins and outs of their lives and the relationships that they have with one another, and you become so invested in these characters. And the core of the plot is interesting too, but it's that the lives of all these characters that Trollope makes you care for in such a special way. And then ranked right above that, oh, my face hurts from smiling so much whenever I think about this book, is The Belton Estate. I am just a week out from finishing The Belton Estate. After finishing it, I had to go on a walk around my neighborhood and just process what a beautiful, beautiful story to spend time in it was. And I just love too that it's a standalone, so it would be a really easy Anthony Trollope to reread. I just came to really care for these characters, and I can't guarantee you that you will like it, because the Claverings, I think some people will be surprised that I ranked it so low. I don't know that you will love The Belton Estate like I did, but I just know that I loved it so much. Oh, I just loved it. It had a real simplicity to the plot, and that just felt really refreshing. Sometimes you just want a solid vanilla soft serve cone, right? You don't want any bells and whistles, and that was this book, and it was just perfect. Then we have top ranked Trollope novel, and I was a little bit surprised, but as I was ranking them, I just knew I had to put Can You Forgive Her at the top. I knew I had to, and I think it's that this book paid off so much for me when it was so hard to get through, or so hard to get into. But once I was into it, and then there's this sort of dark, sinister subplot that was unexpected, like in Lady Anna, I said, that it was such a breath of fresh air in a dark way. And I love this book so much. And I was so excited to continue on with the Palliser series after it. And the hangover, the delightful hangover from it has not left me. So I am very much looking forward to reading much more by Anthony Trollope. Eventually, I would love to say I had read all of his novels. We'll see if that ever happens. But I do have kind of higher up on the agenda are all of the ones that are spoiled in his autobiography, because I want to read his autobiography. Yes. So thank you as always for watching. Please comment down below with your favorite Anthony Trollope, and if there are any Anthony Trollope standalones that are not in this list that you think I would love, because I will prioritize them. Thank you as always for watching, and I hope you all have a marvelous day. Bye.